Hi guys, today we are looking at box and whisker plots. We had a look at them yesterday, but today we're going to use two sets of scores and we're going to compare those two by using the same scale at the bottom, and it allows us to easily compare the medians and the spread. Let's have a look at an example. It says the mean maximum monthly temperatures for Sydney and Melbourne are shown in this table. Find the 5-number summary for each city. Draw a parallel box plot to display the data, and then finally we're going to look at the range, the interquartile range, and compare the temperatures for both cities. And this will be easy when we draw our box and whisker plots. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is put the scores in order. So for Sydney, we've put those in order and we've divided that into 4 equal quarters. Remember, first of all, you're going to halve the data by crossing off the end scores, and you should find that this point here divides so we've got 6 scores on the left, 6 scores on the right, and then we're going to halve that again to get our first quartile and our third quartile. So our 5-figure summary, of course, comes from the lowest score, which is this one here. Easy once they're in order, and the highest score, which is that one there, and then our 3 quarters, quartile 1, 2, and 3. So there's our 5-figure summary. Of course, to get quartile 1 in here, just a reminder, we need to add these two scores together and divide by 2, which is what we've done over here. Same with quartile 3, add them together, divide by 2, and you get 25 for that number there. Now we've done exactly the same thing with Melbourne. We've got our lowest score, our first, second, and third quartiles, and our highest score, and that's summarized here below there. Have a look down the bottom. So first of all, before you start to draw it, look at your numbers and find which one is the lowest out of those two sets of data. And it looks like 13.5 is the lowest. So when we make our scale, we need to start from 13, something a little lower than that. We need to make our scale go up to at least 26 because that is the highest number. So we've decided to go up by 1, starting at 13, and here's where you need to make sure that when you're drawing this scale down the bottom here, that you use a ruler and that you mark every centimetre and make sure that all these gaps here are the same size. Otherwise, your graph is not going to work out. The next thing you do is draw one of the graphs, and they've chosen to do Melbourne just above the graph, and you plot your 5 figures. So here's the lowest score here, 13.5 for Melbourne. The first quartile was 15.85. So you approximate where that's going to be, and that's where you start your box. I would begin, like I said yesterday, by starting to draw the box part first, mark in your median where it goes, and then draw your whiskers last. But it's up to you. The second graph then goes above that using the same scale. So don't redraw this scale. Just put Sydney above that and maybe leave a little gap of 1 centimetre in between the two boxes just to make it look nice. And now we can compare our two graphs, you can easily see that Melbourne is more spread apart. Remember, the range comes from this highest score minus the lowest score, so it has a larger range than Sydney. The range, the distance of the box gives us the interquartile range, so we've got 24 minus 15.85. The length of that box gives us the interquartile range, and remember this bit here is the median. Now you can see that Sydney has a higher median than Melbourne and a smaller interquartile range and a smaller range. That means and here are the calculations here that I was just talking about. Okay, so we can compare again the range of Sydney to Melbourne, and we could tell by looking at the graph that Melbourne had a much larger range. And we can also compare their interquartile range. Again, Melbourne has a larger interquartile range. And so what we can conclude from that is the range of temperatures in Melbourne is 3 degrees more than that of Sydney. The interquartile range is 1.9 degrees more. So there is a significant difference. Sydney's mean maximum monthly temperatures are more consistent than Melbourne, and that is the key. If you have a smaller range and a smaller interquartile range, you can therefore say that that set of data is more consistent. Just ignore those questions that are at the bottom. They're not applicable. I have set you some questions on Compass to do.